Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to Wake Up Charlotte to Go. I'm Ben, Chris, Sarah, Larry. And Larry, we have realized, is not only forecasts the weather.
He can make calls about football.
Larry can forecast, evidently, events and sports and everything else.
Oh, yeah, just a soothsayer, right?
If you watched us yesterday morning at the same time, at that point, Matt Rhule still had a job. But Larry predicted that he would be out and that Steve Wilkes would be taking over.
Well, I mean, the conversation was he would lose his job and who would be possibly moving in there. And I said, a guy that's been around for a long time, been a coach since 1995, from Charlotte, been involved with the Panthers for years, would be Steve Wilkes. And somehow, some way, he said, let me do it.
And then I was going to say, hours later, that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, so, you know, he's a good guy and he's well respected, so we'll see what happens.
So
and today we're expected to hear from him.
Yeah. Let us know what you're thinking. You can use an emoji or words, whatever you prefer. Let us know what you're thinking about the change at the Panthers. A lot of people had been calling for this, hoping for this at some point, wishing Matt Rhule the best. But a lot of frustrated fans, empty stands on Sunday as well. So let us know what you think.
A lot of 49ers. I couldn't believe the number of 49ers fans here in Charlotte. There was a ton of Reds.
I know.
Red.
You were like, was this Bank of America Stadium?
Well, I was listening on the radio, and I heard this roar. It sounds like they're playing in San Francisco. It was so loud.
Yeah.
So that's another reason. Got to fill the stands with Panthers fans.
Yeah, and sometimes you just need some sort of change. And I think the fans just needed a little bit of hope. And Eugene said this is not going to change anything. This is not going to change anything, especially now that we're down to our third quarterback. But I think just seeing like a new seed, they'll probably do some trades. The Panthers officially, by the way, everyone, is in rebuilding mode. And that's where we're doing forward. But if we can sneak some wins in, that's great.
So we should just say real quick, before we go any further, it's not only Rhule out, but also defensive coach Phil Snow, special teams coach Ed Foley out as well. Let's go ahead and go to Nick Carboni. He sort of sums up where we go from here.
Well, after the Carolina Panthers lost their final 7 games of last season, owner David Tepper opted to keep Matt Rhule around and give him a crack at a third season. 5 games into that season, David Tepper realizing what many already have, that it was not going to work out long term with head coach Matt Rhule. The Panthers have started 2022 1-4. They've lost 11 of their last 12 games dating back to last season. And since making the jump from big-time college football, where he had success, to the pros, Matt Rhule has an 11-27 record. David Tepper firing him Monday morning after the latest lopsided loss to San Francisco.
These days are never easy. It's very human, times in a very public way. Had a conversation with the coach this morning. It was short, cordial. He's a gentleman, a true gentleman. Numerous reasons why you make a decision like that. Ultimately, I felt this was a time.
Carolina has 12 games left. The interim coach is Steve Wilkes, a longtime assistant under Ron Rivera, who returned to work for Rhule this year coaching the secondary. He's a West Charlotte High School grad and played at App State. At Bank of America Stadium, Nick Carboni for WCNC Charlotte.
Yeah, we got a local guy there now.
Absolutely. You know, the quarterback situation is going to be a challenge. P.J. Walker obviously moves in, and, you know, they have 3 quarterbacks on injury reserve, even back to Matt Rhule, who had the injury to his foot early in the season.
Yeah.
And so they have Jacob Eason. I think he's going to be the guy that they move in, who's brought in from Seattle as a backup. You got to have a backup. In the NFL today, there are so many injuries to these quarterbacks that there's got to be somebody on the bench, and our bench is almost empty.
Yeah,
P.J. Walker.
P.J. Walker, the one thing about him is he has running upside. And the way that offensive line is, you need somebody that can kind of dodge around the pocket to maybe give him some time.
Yeah, he's got the old Cam Newton kind of moves.
Yeah.
It reminds you of Cam Newton when he's out there.
And going forward now, the Panthers are going to be the biggest talk about trade speculations. It's like, who are they going to trade? Already, if you go to the internet and you type in Christian McCaffrey, you have 6 teams that are potentially calling, asking for him. The Bills already reached out to try to get Christian during the offseason. And it's like, what bigger moves do you do? Do you really just unload the team and start from scratch? Do you go for the draft picks? Because there's also 2 really good quarterbacks, one from Alabama, C.J. Stroud from Ohio State, that maybe the Panthers are going to try to go for in the draft. I know that that's rash thinking this far ahead, but maybe that's...
Let me ask you guys something. I'm not exactly the go-to person for these questions. What makes somebody an amazing, fantastic coach at the college level, but several times over, but not at the NFL level?
You know, and I'll mention the guy. This guy right here had an interview yesterday. His name is Sean Payton.
Oh.
And he is being considered as the new coach. I already had a conversation with Tepper. They said, what about the coaching ranks between NFL and college? He says, well, I'll tell you, one of the reasons is I don't like to dress up. Because as a college coach, you have to dress in a suit. He says, I don't like to deal with parents. You got to deal with parents.
Oh,
in
that's
college.
funny.
He said it's a whole different game. He says he likes the challenge of the NFL, and he likes the challenge of taking a team that's not winning and taking them to the top. So that's why Sean Payton may be considered, and apparently he's already had discussions with Tepper about the new coach. And he is a legendary Super Bowl coach for New Orleans for 15 years for those guys. So
what happened with him and the Saints?
I think it was a point where he was just ready to leave. I mean, he's officially still with them. He's got a connection to the Saints, and you know, if we get him, there's all kinds of trades issues. There's a lot of issues, little internal things that have to be taken care of. But yeah, I think he was just at the time he just wanted to leave coaching.
Yeah, and I think in college you're kind of grooming compared to managing, because you have all these recruits that are coming out of high school. You're watching them flourish. At this point, you have all those people that are already stars, and it's about trying to find the right talent and managing all that. And it comes at a different level because you make one wrong pick, as seems the Panthers have done multiple times, that falls on your shoulders as much. But if you find just somebody out of high school, it doesn't work out. It's such a deeper bench. So like you said, kind of dealing with the parents, dealing with the freshness. Here you're at a different level because also certain players get egos and they're not just trying to prove themselves in college.
It takes a special guy to be able to deal with all that.
Yeah.
And I mean, not to say Matt Rhule couldn't, but I think that you got to have somebody that's ready to you know, a little encouragement right here. Guys, get out there. I mean, you have to be a true leader. You have to be passionate about it. And not that Matt Rhule wasn't, but I'm not sure if he was the greatest motivator out there. But he's a good man, and we wish him the best.
We're getting some comments. Steve Morgan saying time for Luke Kuechly to come be defensive coordinator.
Oh, that'd be great.
Jake Spriggs, Urban Meyer would be a great fit for the Panthers.
No. No.
I think that was a joke.
It had to be a joke.
I think that was a joke.
That was a joke when he went to Jacksonville. I mean, that was a disaster down there. I hope that was a joke.
No, it definitely was a joke. Good joke. Yeah. I appreciate you there.
So today, though, we'll hear from Steve Wilks. We're not exactly sure when he's supposed to speak, but he's supposed to speak today. We'll hear from him, hear what he has to say. It's not often you've got a homegrown guy as a head coach. I mean, even if it is interim. I do feel like he has an entire city rooting for him, not only because people want to see the Panthers doing well, but it's also cool to have a hometown guy.
The team could come together and we could win some big games.
They have a great defense, and P.J. Walker has proven himself that he can still handle the workload. I
think as long as he's healthy, he's okay. And they're playing against the Rams, who've lost some games, so maybe now's the time that we can change the pattern. Yeah,
we got the defense has held them in games. Now you have to overlook the 49ers because the 49ers are kind of on a different level. You kind of knew going into this game that it wasn't going to go well. But if the defense can hold, P.J. Walker can just do his thing, unleash Christian McCaffrey. We got this. Come on, let's get a W.
So let me ask another question. This is your all's like education for Ben of football and how it works. So then why, you say defense, but then why did they get rid of defensive coach Phil Snow?
They were Matt Rhule and him were really basically together.
Yes.
They were collegiate coaches, and I think it's almost like a package deal.
Gotcha.
They will move. The next move will be a college, and they'll go together.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes more sense.
Thomas chiming in. Return for Riverboat Ron.
He's not coming back. No.
Very, very popular man.
Yeah, he was. He's a great guy.
Very popular man here.
He's in Washington for a while.
Yeah. Doing well. All right, folks, continue to weigh in. Let us know about the new news. And when we do hear from Steve Wilks today, we'll be sure to carry it live on WCNC.com. We'll see you back here.